my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Melissa. So we are going to be going through my greenhouse today. I get some questions on this guy, so I figured I would just make a video about him, and I'll take you through there and I'll give you a closer look at the plants I keep inside and some things that I use and how long I've had it and if I like it and all that. So yeah, I'm excited to take you through here. So yeah, let's go look inside. All right, so this is my little greenhouse here that I keep in this extra room. And right now I have it zipped fully on each side. It is zipped to the bottom. And this unzips and you can tie the opening up so it's out of the way. But I would say this is probably about, I don't know, maybe like 5 feet tall, and it's probably a couple feet wide, a foot and a half wide maybe. So it does have 4 shelves, and I'll show you inside. And I've had this guy for about 1.5 years and I really like it, probably going on 2 years now. And I don't really keep a lot in here as far as equipment goes, but it maintains pretty good humidity by itself. And yeah, my plants are really happy in here. So yeah, I'll unzip this and I'll show you inside. All right, so I just unzipped both sides all the way up, and I just tied the opening together with these 2 strings so that it stays opened. And at first glance, there are 4 shelves here. So the first one, the second one, the third one, and then the fourth one is on the very bottom row. So there's 4 shelves. They're all the same, like height-wise, except this top one has a lot more room, because if you kind of back away, the plants can go all the way up to the top inside of here. So my taller plants are on that top shelf. Okay, the most important thing that I keep inside of here is that little fan back there. It runs 24/7 and it has 3 settings. This one has like a high, medium, low. And right now I have it on the medium setting. And it's connected through a USB port, which I have plugged in. The cord kind of goes all the way. It goes like underneath the back part, and there's like an outlet behind here that it's plugged into. So in that back part, it's a little bit open there just in the back, so that cord can go underneath that green part to get to the outlet. But this guy runs 24/7. I usually keep it on the second setting, and that's the most important thing for airflow that I need to have in here, because if I didn't have a fan, the humidity stays pretty warm and it can definitely lead to mold. So definitely a fan is #1 most important. The next thing that you need, I buy these little humidity readers off Amazon. I've had this open for a little bit, so it's only reading 64, but usually this greenhouse stays anywhere from like mid 70s all the way up to like 90, almost even 100% sometimes. And that really is just dependent on if everything is watered in here and how humid it is in my home. Sometimes that humidity can actually read a bit higher. But I do keep it zipped most of the time, but sometimes I unzip it to air it out if the humidity is really high. If it's usually above 90, I will unzip it, or I unzip like part of one, like halfway, just so the humidity isn't as high, because the higher the humidity is, the more damp the soil is going to stay, and it's going to lead to mold. So I have had issues before where I've noticed a little bit of mold in my soil, so I definitely try to air it out if that humidity gets above 90. And the next thing that you see are these grow lights here. This is a clip grow light. This is from Amazon. It has 4 arms, and it is on a timer right here. The timer is set for 12 hours, and I don't do anything with it. It turns on and off automatically, and it is plugged in to that same outlet behind the greenhouse. And it has 4 arms. These arms are adjustable. I usually guide each one to a shelf. So I have this top one here kind of facing toward the plants, and this one's kind of underneath that shelf. This one's the same way, and this one doesn't really get to the bottom shelf that much, so these guys down here don't get too much light, but I honestly could use a better grow light system in here, but this has worked for now. And this grow light, you know, it's not super expensive. I have some command strips here on the side so that this clip doesn't fall and move and like fall on my plant. So this command strip keeps this in place so this clip doesn't move. So I like these grow lights. They're not super strong. They don't burn my plants. So these grow lights can go pretty close to these plant leaves and they're not going to burn. But I'm eventually getting I have a Millsbo IKEA tall cabinet that I'm going to get set up in my new place. So I'm going to be getting new grow lights, but this one I think I'm just going to keep just to have, and I'm going to keep this greenhouse just to have it so I can have like an extra greenhouse in my home if I need it. But I'm eventually going to be moving all these plants to an IKEA Millsbo cabinet when I get it set up for my new place. And on the bottom here, you may notice these are called boot trays. I got these for $5 at Target. I did have these lining each shelf. They fit perfectly, but I found that it reduced airflow because these little wire shelves here, so much air flows through each shelf and the light. So those boot trays were blocking light and airflow, so I took them off the shelves and I just keep them on the bottom row just to keep the carpet clean under here, so that way if anything falls and drips, it'll land on this bottom boot tray. But these are really good for bottom watering too. You can put a bunch of plants on there and fill that up with water and bottom water. So sometimes I do that, but for right now I just have them on this bottom shelf. So I don't recommend putting them on each shelf just so it doesn't restrict airflow in here, because that's really, really important in preventing mold. And that is it as far as equipment goes in here. The plants in the pots do fit pretty nicely on these shelves. You know, sometimes they kind of fall a little bit like that, but it's pretty sturdy. I don't really have to use anything to help support it. I feel like these are pretty strong. And this built pretty easily together, so, and this little thing, mesh thing, can come off, can come all the way off if you need to clean it or whatever you need to do. I just wipe down the outside if there's any dust, but usually I don't mess with this thing, and these shelves are pretty sturdy. I haven't had any issue with anything falling or anything coming apart in here. Okay, I'll give you a closer look at the plants I keep in here. I actually recently just rearranged everything and made sure that everyone was watered and everyone was good the other day, so things are a little bit jumbled up in here. But in the back I have a huge Alocasia Frydek here. This beautiful plant, that's the biggest leaf it just gave me, and it is killing off its fourth leaf back there. And then I have a Philodendron Camposportuanum here that I'm going to get staked on a moss pole at some point. I have this huge begonia that is growing like crazy up there. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with this guy. And I have a Philodendron Strawberry Shake in here that is working on hopefully a leaf soon, another one. I have an anthurium back there that is a chocolate anthurium. And this gorgeous plant here is my Philodendron Splendid. This guy is beautiful, and I can't wait to get him staked on a moss pole. I love this plant so much. This is a newer plant. This is a variegated Monstera adansonii. So he stays close to the light, and I'm keeping a very close eye on him. He gave me an all-white leaf, which is very scary. So I'm hoping I get green on the next one. I have a Philodendron Burl Marks Fantasy here that is working on some new growth. I have a Macodes Petola. It's a jewel orchid here. This guy is a Philodendron Tenu. He is working on a new leaf. And then in the very, very back is a Monstera Stanleyana that I've had since a cutting. And this guy is a medium silver is what that guy is. So that is the top shelf. I try and keep some of my taller plants here, and some of the smaller ones kind of fit in between. All right, moving down to the second shelf, I keep a lot of my anthuriums here. So these here are all anthuriums. I have my Forgetii in the back. This is my Worquianum here. This one. This is a Magnificum. And this one recently died. It was a king anthurium, so I don't know if he's going to come back or not. That is a Philodendron lupinum here. My anthurium clarinervium, that's a new leaf it just gave me. And I have an anthurium crystallinum and magnificum hybrid here. This is Anthurium fingers. I have 2 Florida ghosts in here. This one and this one's a baby Florida ghost. I chopped this guy back recently, and that's the new growth it gave me. And this is a white knight cutting that hasn't grown anything yet, so still waiting on growth on that guy. All right, and moving on to the shelf, I have my Stromanthe Trio Star here. It is gorgeous, and I have a Calathea White Fusion in the back. These two have been in here a really long time, and they love the humidity and the warmth in here. I have a Peacock Calathea that came back from spider mites, and this is an Alocasia Poly. This leaf is yellowing a bit because it just pushed out 2 new leaves, so Alocasias are notorious for killing off their oldest leaf. And that is a dragon scale Alocasia, and it just gave me this leaf, which is beautiful. I cannot wait to see that guy fully harden off. And I have a Jose Bueno here, and it gave me 2 new leaves recently. And my varicosum's a bit sad. He's gone through a journey with me, so I just chopped him actually, and I'm propagating some cuttings off of him to see how he does. And then I have a little Gloriosum chunk. My Gloriosum was struggling a bit too, so I have a little piece in here, and the other guy I have propagating somewhere else. All right, and moving on to this third shelf here, I have an Alocasia Black Velvet. This is a Global Green Pothos. I have a Hylo Beauty Caladium that hasn't gone dormant. I have a Syngonium Baltic there in the back. This is a variegated Peperomia, and I have a narrow form Adansonii there. So yes, I recently kind of readjusted all these guys, but this is what I have in here for now. Sometimes if I have sad plants, I'll put them on the bottom shelf, or I'll put them in here to see how they respond, because plants really love like tropical humid environments, so humidity and warmth will keep these guys really happy. So I have a lot of humidity loving plants, so plants that do love humidity that aren't in here I keep either by a humidifier, or I try to keep them as warm as possible and try and give them the best care. But yes, I'm eventually going to switch this over to a Millsbow tall cabinet, so stay tuned for that. All right, so that is it with my greenhouse. I just kind of wanted to summarize the most important things. Number 1 is you definitely need a fan of some sort. I leave mine running 24/7. That's probably the best, unless you can open it up and air it out more. But the more you open it, you're going to lose that humidity, so keep that in mind. But definitely a fan. It's really important to keep that air circulating and moving so you don't have stagnant air. And that reduces mold and root rot from like soggy soil all the time. Okay, number 2 is you definitely need a grow light of some sort. This one I just get off Amazon. There's all kinds of grow lights that you can use. You can get some that attach to each individual shelf, so you don't have this like weird arm looking one. But that one has worked for me. I've had it for a long time, and my plants like that light, and it's not super harsh, so I don't have to worry about them getting too close to the leaves. So yeah, it's worked for me, but you definitely need a light source of some kind. And I would also get a little humidity reader. The small ones I get off Amazon, they're like $5, but some kind of humidity reader you need, because you want to know what that humidity is inside. So you know if it's not high enough, you can increase humidity, and if it's too high, you can maybe figure out how to decrease humidity a bit. But I don't use a humidifier in here. Like my plants are watered and it's zipped shut all the way, that humidity stays pretty high, so I don't need a humidifier running in here. But I would definitely recommend that you get a reader of some sort, just so you can monitor the humidity levels and how your plants are responding to that. And the only other thing I would recommend is just to check on this guy every few days. I probably unzip this and check on them every maybe like 3 or 4 days. I definitely don't water my plants all at the same time. I kind of water based off each plant's individual needs. Sometimes I water 50%, sometimes I water 25% at one time. It really just depends on the plant and what it needs. So I definitely water based on the plant's needs. And if you're noticing mold, or if it's staying too wet, I would definitely try to increase airflow. You can get a second fan, or you can open it up and air it out a bit. But yeah, definitely keep an eye on things if you're not used to having one. And I have noticed mold and stuff in mine before, but I've kind of gotten used to my greenhouse now, so I usually check based on the humidity levels and what the temperature is in my home. If it's more hot and humid in my home, this guy is going to be more humid. So if it is, sometimes I'll usually unzip one side and just kind of let some air flow in and out. That way the humidity, it still stays like 70% and it's not staying too hot and humid in there. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on it if you're just starting it out for sure. Yeah, so thank you for watching me go through this greenhouse. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. And I'll link everything for you down in the description box. I get everything off of Amazon, even the actual greenhouse itself. So if you have any questions, just feel free to ask, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. I'm going to be setting up an IKEA cabinet when I move, and I'll show you that process on here and what it looks like and what I use for that. So yes, thanks for watching, and I'll chat with you guys soon. All three cats are in here, and they're driving me crazy. All three of them are driving me crazy. I shut them out. They claw to get in. I leave them in, and they drive me crazy, and I put them out, and they want to come back in again. I don't know what to do.